Alright, so the latest updates have broken my one wide 3x3 door. So I made another one. And it looks a bit like this. And it's probably not the smallest. I tried to shave this block off the side and couldn't, so there you go. Very annoying, this piston couldn't link up to that one. So the way it works is a lever into this note block, and this one didn't work. It's, very reliable. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, right, so it's because this block doesn't transmit redstone. Fantastic. So there we go. And it's not the quickest thing in existence, but it's pretty small and it works. So that's the main thing. So the main things we use are this piston. So when we have an observer, well, there you go, that works. When we fire off a node block, it'll make this observer go off. So that goes from this node block here, observer, block, node block, observer. And the piston will push this observer up. So that means that when the door is closed, it's kind of up here waiting, and then when we open it again, it will come back down and set off our double extender. And then we've also got this bit on this side for pushing the second block up. So as you can see, the order of operation is kind of this observer first does this piston, so that pushes that block up to there. Then, a bit later, we go to this observer here, then we go up and across to this piston, and that pushes that block out there. And then the repeater underneath pushes this piston up to there, and that pushes the block up to there, and then the piston goes back down, and then on the way down we get the sort of up goes off, then this one goes off to pull the block there, and then we set off the double extender from this observer coming back down, which will fetch our block from the middle. And then for the top bit we just do observers going up into this redstone, then we fire this redstone block so it moves there, powers this piston, which uses an observer to set off these pistons. And yeah, that's it. It's pretty straightforward. I mean, this bit's a bit messy, but pretty easy once you get your head around it. The nicest bit was this very compact sort of double extender, because the problem in the old design is that the double extender stopped working. So this double extender is literally just 4-tick repeater with an observer aiming into a block. And then if we power the repeater and then turn it off, we get a double extender. So you could probably build it by just looking at it here, but, it's a video, so I'll show you how to build it. Okay, so to build this, you're going to need the resources in my inventory right here. And then let's get started. Start off with a 9 wide area, and the door is 4 blocks off the floor in the middle. So the outside of it is going to look a bit like this. So for our pistons, 1 block off the bottom, we have double extender aiming up into the middle of the bottom. Then we have a piston aiming sideways on the right side to push our block in. On each side we have our pistons aiming inwards like this, so 3 of them. And in the middle of those there's a block with redstone behind them to power them. So for the top bit, we just have 1 piston aiming down, and then there's also a redstone block with a piston pushing it, which powers that piston. So our input is diagonally below this piston that pushes the block sideways at the bottom, and then below that, I'll just delete the bottom so we can actually see what we're doing. Below that we have a node block with a redstone on top. Then coming to the side of that redstone, there's an observer, there's also one above it, and those are both facing at the double extender. So there's a block on the top one, and the bottom one goes into a block with a repeater on top of it aiming at the piston on 4 ticks. Then we do an observer coming from the node block aiming at that block. Then a node block on the other side, another observer, and then a piston aiming upwards with an observer facing sideways, and in front of that there's a repeater on 4 ticks with an observer above it. And that's a double extender and kind of that whole shebang done, except we also need the piston at the side to go off and push the block to here. So to do that we just do an observer aiming outwards from the input node block, then upwards, and then one aiming sideways from that into the piston. So that's the whole double extender bit done. So then to get the power to the top, we just do another observer aiming up into this redstone, we do an observer aiming up above that redstone into a block, which will set this piston off, and then when this piston gets set off, pushing the block down here, It'll trigger this observer, which triggers a block and powers a hopper, and then this observer detects that hopper being powered and goes into this block to power this redstone, and that sets off these pistons. And that's the entire circuit done. Now, one thing to note is make sure this observer that the piston is on is down and not up, so it will only go off the one time, so it needs to be down to start with when the door is open. And we just accidentally set it all off, hell yeah. Okay, so we'll just place the lever on here and turn it on. And that's the door done. Alright, I've been Idendied. I hope you enjoyed this. I'll see you in the next one.